Tony and I have been married almost 13 years.
The year after we were married, our first child, Brooke, was born.
It was just always on our heart to have many children.
We tried for years to have another child, and for some reason, we just never could conceive again. Eventually, we got very, very heartbroken, and we decided to become certified to become foster parents.
So we adopted our first baby. A few years later, we adopted a teenager and our son, Alexander. We were just in shock when I found out I was pregnant. We had prayed for 10 years, and Gideon was just a huge answer to prayer.
So right around Gideon's first birthday, we all sat down to eat lunch together, and his head was canted to the side. So I went to move his head up with my finger, and he screamed.
So we knew we needed to take him to the pediatrician, and they urged us to visit the children's hospital.
But we went knowing that they weren't going to find anything.
So when they came back with the CT scan, surgeons came in and they said, "Your son has a brain tumor." Our world just stopped.
He was immediately going into a pediatric intensive care unit. There were no questions asked.
He was going to have surgery immediately. We called on everyone, and I just called through the tears, and I said, "I need you to pray." He went in to have the tumor resection, where they removed the tumor, and that's a 9.5-hour surgery.
To see your child, and he's a 12-month-old child, all he wants to do is play, and he couldn't.
You just feel so helpless. So directly after the surgery, his body was failing. They gave Gideon medication, but he had tears coming down his face, and my heart just broke into pieces. I just prayed, God, I need you. And God just gave me the most beautiful vision of these angels. And they were surrounding Gideon. He had all this hair, and he was laughing, and he was smiling. And it was perfect peace. And so for that moment, I knew no matter what the outcome was going to be, that God had our baby. So he spent 30 days recovering in the ICU. They biopsied the tumor and discovered that he had nodular desmoplastic medulloblastoma, which is brain cancer.
Like, how do you even fathom, your child has cancer? The question immediately is, God, why would you bless us with this just to take it away from us? What did we do so wrong? But we were surrounded by family, friends, our church family. The outpouring of support and faith was just so immediate and so vast. So that's when I said, you know what, we're gonna pray that God is gonna use this for something. This is not the end, this is gonna be the beginning.
So just as a way of coping, we started a Facebook page, Prayers for Gideon. And we would write status updates, and we would ask for specific prayers of healing. So after 30 days in the ICU, Gideon just turned a corner and he began chemotherapy.
A lot of the chemotherapy treatments are dependent on white blood cell count. So at one point, Gideon had gone in to get his labs done, and his white blood cell count was 0.
In order for him to go home, Gideon's white blood cells needed to be 500. We were told to expect he would be in the hospital at least 4 or 5 days to achieve that 500 count.
We begged for prayers from people, and literally thousands of people prayed specifically that our son's white blood cell count would go up enough that we wouldn't have to postpone his treatment, and God answered the call. His white blood cell count went from 0 to 7,000 in less than 8 hours.
They had to run the test 3 times. No one could understand. God was healing our baby. Gideon has gone through 6 months of chemotherapy, and his last day of chemo is on the day before Thanksgiving. And it was just God's perfect timing. We had so much to be thankful for. And so he was going to go in for an MRI, and I called friends from the church and I said he needed to come because there's going to be a miracle. God's going to heal Gideon. And so we had a 4-hour MRI, and the oncologist came in and said Gideon has no evidence of disease, no cancer in his body.
Some of the most amazing words in the world. It was right around Christmas time, like the best Christmas present ever.
We have rejoiced and praised. We stop down, we listen to the birds sing, and we look at the flowers. God has taught us so much about life and how to cherish each moment.
This is the story of a little boy that was diagnosed with one of the most horrific diseases that we can think of, and God blessed him and he came through it.
It's not a road that we would have chosen, but God is always there, and he was with us. He never left us.
I hope that, people see Gideon's story and see hope.
That they would trust God, maybe for the first time. And I often say, if one life was saved through Gideon having cancer, we would do that again. God has taught us that He can use someone so small to make such a big difference in the world.